just one gun, they'd be alive today. Just one gun.
Hi, I'm Alex Kincaid, and welcome to the Gun Law Podcast. Today we're talking about President Obama apparently inspiring the mediocre to act on their delusions of grandeur. And yes, I am talking about Massachusetts' now famous, previously infamous, Attorney General Maura Healey. Apparently, to Ms. Healey, black rifles do not matter. And she has taken action all on her own because she says Congress will not. Therefore, it's up to us, the states, to protect people from these big, black, scary rifles that are apparently slaughtering people across the country, all on their very own. Her statement flies in the face of what she said earlier in a little article that she wrote, where she said there are a myriad of issues underlying each of these tragedies: fear, racism, mistrust, and hate. However, she hasn't really done anything to target those issues and try to help society. Instead, her lone actions have now banned thousands of rifles from the hands of law-abiding Americans. How did she do it? She simply said, I'm the Attorney General, and here's what my office is going to enforce. Well, the prosecutors hold a whole lot of power, and we're going to talk about that in another podcast. Essentially, what happened was in 1998, Massachusetts passed a state ban on assault rifles that were previously banned by our federal government. And as many of you know, there was a ban that was in effect that was passed by Congress in 1994. It was in effect for 10 years. There is absolutely nothing, no statistics to show that that law affected crime in a positive way. In other words, it did nothing to stop the criminals. All it did was make us, the law-abiding, gun-owning Americans, have to work harder to have self-defense weapons in our own homes. Well, we had some help during that period of time by gun manufacturers who looked at the law and they said, we are the law-abiders. We try to do things right because we care. We're Americans. We care about the laws. We have respect for them, regardless of how nonsensical they may be. So let's manufacture rifles that comply. The Attorney General has now said that what Massachusetts state law from 1998 means, remember it went into effect 4 years after that federal law went into effect, and it essentially banned all the same rifles that the federal government had banned for a period of time. Massachusetts law is still in effect, but she's saying, you know what? Gun manufacturers have found ways around this law. They're making guns that are very similar to the guns that were banned. They have interchangeable parts. They operate in very much the same way. They're just changing the cosmetic features, which is exactly what we, the gun owners, have been saying. Cosmetic features that are being banned on these scary rifles do absolutely nothing to make a rifle more or less dangerous or deadly or stop the real criminals. But she's saying, we're going to ban pretty much any semi-automatic rifle that we want to ban. And it's this strange, broad, weird testing that she's laid out, and you can look at it on her website. She says, you know, we're going to look at two things to determine whether or not a black rifle is a copy or a duplicate of the rifles that we banned in this state in 1998, because we don't want you, the manufacturers, complying with the law and making rifles that comply with that law. We don't want any gun that is semi-automatic, essentially. So she came up with these two tests. One says, if the weapon's internal functional components are substantially similar to the construction or configuration of a weapon that is expressly banned under the law, or if the weapon has a receiver that includes or accepts key operating components that are interchangeable with those of a banned weapon. What does that mean? And people don't know. It seems to be a very strange, flexible law that the Attorney General can pick and choose and apply to almost any semi-automatic firearm. So what has happened is people in Massachusetts are concerned about buying these. The dealers are concerned about selling them, and things have somewhat come to a halt. Thankfully, the NRA is already looking at this. There will be lawsuits. This will be fought because we don't give in to people who think that they can make their own laws and bypass Congress and bypass the State House and take away a protection provided to us by our Constitution. So what does this all mean? Well, in terms of gun control, we're still trying to figure that out. One thing it means for sure is that the Massachusetts Attorney General is acting on emotion and misinformation, and the gun owners will fight back. As always, thank you for watching the Gun Law Podcast. If you're interested in learning more about gun control laws and the history of them and what you as a gun owner can do to avoid running afoul of the many, many laws that restrict us in this country with respect to possession and transfer of firearms, check out my book, Infringed. And if you want to see more gun law podcasts, please support the podcast. You can go to my website and make a donation or become a sponsor and purchase a copy of my book. Thank you.
Just one gun could have stopped the madman in his tracks. Just one gun, they'd be alive today. Just one gun.
This is an important message about your liberty.
So the notion that gun laws don't work, it's not borne out by the evidence.
We need universal background checks. We know that they will work. We need to...
Politicians continue to call for more gun control. Yet so many laws already exist, the American gun owner is often left confused about the legality of their own common everyday behaviors. Attorney and former prosecutor Alex Kincaid knows that too many responsible gun owners violate laws that they don't know even exist. And her goal is to stop that. Now get Kincaid's new book, Infringed. Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America says that Infringed should be on the shelf of every American gun owner. Infringed debuts November 25th, but pre-order today and receive an autographed hard copy edition at $5 off. Visit alexkincaidlaw.com now. That's alexkincaidlaw.com. Get Infringed. Get it today. alexkincaidlaw.com.